Here is a sobering statistic. The Centers for Disease Control say more than 70% of Americans are either overweight or obese. However, half of those don't think they have a weight problem. Dr. Mala Singh from Gulf Coast Medical Group is here as part of a three-part series on creating a healthy lifestyle to fight obesity. Great to see you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Let's start by defining overweight and obesity, because I know there's some pretty specific benchmarks that all involve BMI. Can you explain BMI to us?
Sure. BMI is your body mass index, and the way it's calculated is you take your weight in kilograms and your height in meters, and you divide the weight by the height.
Okay, and there's charts everywhere, I know.
Charts everywhere, and looking at the charts, you would see that a normal weight, a BMI, is about 18 to 24. You go into overweight at 25 to 29, and then obesity sets in 35 to 40. Morbid obesity is then 40 plus.
And that statistic of 70% of us considered at this level then a BMI of 25 or above.
Correct.
Boy, that's kind of alarming.
Well, it's an epidemic, that's for sure.
Yikes.
Obesity is an epidemic in the US. 30% of the Americans are obese, 17% of children are obese and overweight. So there's no single or simple solution to obesity. It's a very complex disorder.
So we know that eating too much and not getting enough activity, the simple factors, can put us at greater risk for obesity and being overweight. But there are some other risk factors as well, some of which we can't control. Let's talk about some of those risk factors.
The two main causes, of course, like you mentioned, are unhealthy eating, poor, and lack of exercise. But there are other factors like genetics and family lifestyle. Genetics you can't change, but family lifestyle you can change. Just because your family is obese doesn't mean you have to be. You can modify your behaviors, you can modify your eating habits, and that'll make a big difference.
But isn't that easier said than done? Yeah. I mean, it's always very nice to say, oh, I'm not going to have that extra, you know, carbohydrate today, and then it's sitting in front of you and you go, well, I'll just take one bite of that donut or whatever it is.
I agree, it's easier said than done, but it's a lot easier to lose the weight than have to suffer the consequences of being obese.
Well, yes, and I think that the problem then becomes with younger people especially, how do you convince them to change their habits because they don't think in terms of...
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go through the rest of that risk factor list as well. I thought the second one was very interesting, the social and economic issues.
Well, social and economic, I would talk about it, what I would say is that, you know, financial hardship. Sometimes families cannot afford it. Junk food, as we know, is a lot cheaper than buying healthier foods.
Dollar menus.
Try to go, yes, dollar menus. Another thing is portion control. The all-you-can-eat buffets, those are very detrimental. I always say if you go out to eat, share your meals, you know.
Good idea.
Or take half of it home, so you have another meal for the next day. Another thing is that safe places to exercise for children especially. We need parks, we need safe haven for children and adults to exercise. Maybe employers can participate and offer some sort of gyms for their employees so that while they're at work, they can go out for an hour at lunchtime or half an hour. And some companies are doing that now.
Which is great. Well, and if there's one thing that, you know, we say it's hard to not eat this and it's hard to motivate yourself, a lot of motivation can be when you see the list of things that can also be affected by your weight. It's not just about how you look. Let's go through the list of complications for
it's not just
overweight.
about a cosmetic look. It's not just about, I want to look like a model or something. It's more what happens with obesity is high cholesterol, sleep disorders, cancers. Cancers is a big one. Obesity leads to breast cancer, uterine cancers, prostate cancers, arthritis, because you're so obese, you're putting hardship on all your bones, and so there's a lot of things involved. So it's not just the cosmetic, it's more what the effects of it is on your health down the road.
Absolutely, a lot of reasons to do something about it, and Dr. Singh, I'm glad you're going to be back to help us keep finding new ways to make some inroads, because as you said, it's complicated and not
very
easy,
complicated, but it can be done. The main thing is to be consistent. You know, formulate a plan, health, and your eating habits, and just be consistent with it.
All right, great to hear that. Thank you, Dr. Singh. For more information about any of your health concerns, you can go to the Gulf Coast Medical Group website. That is gulfcoastmedicalgroup.com. Coming up next, actor John Hader stops by from the Sarasota Film Festival.